What up, y'all? Friday morning. Gotta have the coffee from Boston. Um, I wanted to make a video response to Backwoods. Backwoods, good to hear your voice. Wherever you're from, Minnesota, North Dakota, maybe even Canada. I'm not sure where you're from, but I like your voice. I bet you'd like to go fishing for pike. So you were talking about a few things with regard to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And you were talking about the biblical genesis of it. Yeah, there's a very slight mention of it in the book of Genesis, actually, in the Bible, where it talks about how Abraham was, you were right, with the name of his wife, Sarah, and he was afraid that she wouldn't be able to conceive, so he slept with someone else. Good job, Abraham. And then she bore Ishmael. And then Ishmael supposedly went off to form Islam, and Isaac, who was the son of Sarah and Abraham, perpetuated the Jewish line. So there's that. And then you were talking about you didn't explicitly state it, but it seemed like you were indicating a conspiracy theory that Israel probably knew that the attack was going to happen, but they let it happen anyway. That's a pretty popular conspiracy theory. A lot of people say that about 9/11. A lot of people say that about the attack on Pearl Harbor, even, that we knew about it, but we still let it happen because we wanted to get sucked into a war. You'll never know, will you? You'll never know. But I think the best way to judge a conspiracy theory is how plausible it is. Is it plausible that, for example, in 9/11, that the president of the United States was willing to sacrifice 3,000 American lives and let the Pentagon get hit just so he could go to war with Afghanistan and then eventually Iraq? Maybe he's an evil guy like that. I mean, that would really make George W. Bush out to be like a Hitler kind of a dude. And then the same thing for Benjamin Netanyahu. I heard that there was a lot of chatter prior to the October 7th attack, and they had the feeling that something was coming, but they didn't know where and they didn't know when. Now, there were police officers who did show up on the scene, especially at that music festival that got attacked, and they had their handguns out and they were trying to fight terrorists who had, assault rifles. So it was like bringing a knife to a gunfight, and it was, it's not like the police just didn't do anything. Like, the police did respond to it. That they were caught by surprise. I mean, that's just what happens when you get caught by surprise. So I don't know. I'm not one of those people who thinks that there's this complicated, crazy explanation to things. But I'm also one of those people that knows that if there is this crazy, complicated explanation of things, like, I ain't going to know what it is, because that stuff is going to be highly classified and I will never know. And to pretend like I know just kind of makes me, appear arrogant and foolish. And, there's a lot of, and I'm not saying this about you, Backwoods, by the way, I'm not, but there's a lot of uneducated people out there who strongly believe conspiracy theories. And there tends to be a positive correlation with that, or I call it a negative correlation, like the less educated you are, the more you subscribe to conspiracy theories. I knew a guy who was, he dropped out of high school. He was like junior in high school, he dropped out. So he doesn't even have his GED, nothing. I mean, he delivered pizzas almost all his life. The biggest accomplishment he ever made was like being a manager at Pizza Hut until he got fired, He believes every conspiracy theory known to man. So that kind of tells me, how valid conspiracy theories are. But anyway, we're never going to know what Israel knew about and what they didn't know about. We're never going to know if they actually let it happen or if they try to prevent it. We're never going to know. So I think it's kind of an exercise in futility trying to go down that road and trying to figure it out, because you're not going to figure it out. So I got my window open. There's clearly like a puddle jumper plane or something like that flying over my house. But anyway, good discussion, good talks. And I tend to wonder, and I think I brought this up to Southern Paladin in the comments section. Is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict more about land than it is about religion? And I think that's an important question to ask, because, and I know I keep going back to this, but when you look at what the white man did when we took over the United States of America, we just wanted the land, and there was different people here that they were like savages and like sort of third world Aboriginal people who couldn't really assimilate to our way of life, and so we were like, get the fuck out, and so we wiped them out. So yeah, a difference in culture definitely kicks it off, but if there wasn't that land dispute, then I don't know how much terrorism we would see around the world. So, for example, if the world claimed, okay, Israel, like the whole land, it's just going to go to Palestine. We're just going to give the whole thing to Palestine. We're going to take all the Jews and we're going to move them to Florida. We're going to give the Jews the whole state of Florida. Get out of that area. It's now called Palestine. Sorry, you don't get Jerusalem. I know you think it's a holy land, but you don't get it, whatever. If we made that executive decision as a world, and we all got together and we kicked them out, how much would the Palestinians still be putting on explosive vests and getting on city buses and blowing them up? Would they still be going into Starbucks and blowing them up? Would they still be going into, cafes and blowing them up? Would they still be, flying planes into buildings? Just because they hate Jews? Is the Palestinian end goal to wipe the Jews off the planet, or just to get them out of Israel because they want that land? What is the stronger motivator? I don't know. But I'm thinking, if the Jews got out of Israel, completely left Israel, and Palestinians took it over, that, I don't think the Palestinians and the other Arab nations would be happy that the Jews were still living somewhere. But my guess is they would just be like, they would just be pretty happy with the fact that now they have that land. And I wouldn't think that they would start, traveling to Florida if all the Jews were in Florida. I don't think they'd start traveling to Florida and blowing up buildings in Florida and killing people in Florida just to kill Jews. Maybe they would. I don't know. You'll get nothing and like it. That's what the Palestinians have to say to the Jews. Anyway, let me know your thoughts.